your time in the service?
So my grandfather served in World War Two. He was part of desert rats based in North Africa. That's what inspired me to join the military. After 4 years down the coal mines, I went in at 21 years of age, joined the Royal Military Police. From joining the Royal Military Police, I then served just short of 10 years. And during that time, I had sort of the best life ever. Really, I had two children that were born into the military. I ended up serving in Cyprus, Germany for quite some time, and I've been all over Africa, Bosnia, back into the UK, and then subsequently leaving to join the civilian police in Nottinghamshire. So what the military gave me was a lot of life skills such as appearance and bearing, punctuality, just the importance of teamwork, not being afraid to ask questions, but also doing as you're told as well sometimes. But because I worked in a small corps as well, the military police it was at my time, it was about 2,500 people strong. We had small teams as well, so I was quite fortunate to become one of the sort of close protection officers within the military police close protection teams. So that meant I was going away with very small teams of 6-8 personnel, where we were pretty much reliant on each other. So trust came in, and honesty and integrity came in. If you've messed up, you need to tell the team you've messed up and not hide it, because it can have consequences. But just generally, just a pride in who you were and your ability, and that ability to deal with adversity, deal with pressure and stress that probably isn't available a lot of the time to members of the civilian population that will not find themselves in those situations. But also, you see things that are not normal in Western life. You experience sights, scenes, locations that you see them on the TV, but actually when you're in them, and the smells and the noises, it's completely different. And that sometimes can be a negative, but a lot of times it can be positive as well, whereby it creates a stronger person, someone who can deal with it, and takes it in the stride, really. On the understanding, obviously, sometimes you need to talk about it as well. When I joined the military police, I had no aspirations to be a civilian police officer. I don't come from a policing background or anything, and so that, though, when it gave me what policing was about in the military, I looked at policing in Civvy Street and decided, that was a pathway I wanted to take. And very quickly upon joining Nottinghamshire Police, within the first couple of months, even though I joined as an experienced police officer and I was a sergeant, I was a supervisor of other police officers, I went back to square one day one and was a probationer and had to go through the same processes as everybody else. But the people around me very quickly realised that actually you aren't just a normal person, actually you are a trained police officer. Actually, the only thing that they need to focus on is the process issues, actually talking to people, engaging and dealing with different situations, thinking on your feet. That's already in you, it's already there, both through your military training and your experiences within the Royal Military Police. And so I was very quickly identified as somebody that could be left alone, do some work by myself. I was given responsibility that a lot of my other probationer colleagues weren't getting that. And that was again down to good management, good understanding of my background. But then after a short period of time, I did 3 years as a response officer. I then applied and was successful in going on to a specialist department, and then obviously got involved in a lot more specialist roles, more important roles within the county. At that time, it was a very difficult time for the county as well. What I've tried to do for my children, and what the army did for me, is give them what I never had growing up. I grew up in a very difficult childhood with not a lot of guidance, whereas the military gave me that guidance. The military allowed me to be who I am now today, and I've been able to share that both through my own children, but through my coaching kids. But also I spent quite a bit of time as well as an adult instructor running a detachment of army cadets. And again, teaching them life skills, actually explaining to them that, you know, the reason we're punctual, the reason we're smart, the reason, you know, we're asked to do things is it all reflects into civilian life when we go for employment, when we work with other people. Those core ethoses that the military try to put into you in those first basic 10 weeks are actually a reflection of true life in civilian street, and what employers and colleagues would expect of you as a good colleague, really. And that's what the army gave me that my own family and parents didn't give me. But I've been fortunate enough to pass that on, not only to my own kids, but just to quite a few young people over the last few years. And I can only put that down to my time in the military. That has made me who I am and how I am. Yeah, so I did, all in all, I think 36 years in policing I did in total, both military and civilian. And like most of my former policing colleagues, you're always counting down to the day when you retire, when you get your pension and you can go and do the things. And in reality, it doesn't always happen like that. So I was fortunate enough to retire at just over 50 years of age. I went to live in Spain with my wife. We had a beautiful life, beautiful house. I got bored, and in getting bored, I wanted something to do because I've been so proactive and so busy in my life. To suddenly just stop, you can only play golf so many days a week. You can only go shopping so many days a week. I needed some more stimulation, and so a former colleague of mine from the police force invited me into Defence Medical Welfare Service as a welfare officer, and I knew nothing about being a welfare officer, but actually when I broke it down, I've been a welfare officer for over 36 years in the police force, because every job I went to, I dealt with people's welfare and well-being, regardless of whether they were good or bad. It was all about that welfare support. And so the job I do now is I work within hospital trusts in Nottingham. I work with the staff there to identify armed forces personnel that come through admissions. Once they've been admitted and they've been identified, I visit them at bedside, and then we have a conversation about their service life, whether they're serving or have served, about any needs that they may have in relation to housing, financial issues, benefit issues, pretty much anything that people are concerned about whilst they're in hospital. And I like to describe it as a welfare officer with Defence Medical, I'm almost like the swan's legs. So the swan's gliding, and that's their hospital stay, and the little legs underneath are doing all the little bits that they're worried about, so that they can focus on their health and well-being. And then all the other stuff, like the job, are they going to be employed or not employed, I can look at that and I can help provide solutions or advice, and sometimes I'll do the relevant paperwork and referrals for them so that they can look at getting well. So you can imagine the variety of people you meet in that age, from quite young through to World War II veterans. We've had World War II veterans, quite a few of those up until recently, and so the stories that they tell is very fascinating, and I find it really interesting. I'm quite passionate about it, and I can only say Defence Medical are a really sort of very good charity. They've been established for a long time. 1943 I think they started, and yet if you speak to people within the armed forces community, they're very unknown, and that's the same perception I had, who were Defence Medical, and I've had the same conversations with lots of my service users. Who are you? But once they realise who we are, they open up, and I think, you know, we are beneficial to a lot of people that would otherwise go unrecognised, and a lot of the things veterans say to me is they thought they were forgotten. And I always say, you know, when I turn up, I say, well, you're not forgotten, because I'm here and I want to know about you and I want to know how I can help you. And that goes a long way to that gate opening up and us stepping through and seeing if we can provide help and support.